All right, welcome back, guys. We apologize for the inconvenience. There's some craziness been going on, but I think we got it figured out now. So we're back live with my guy Ray and TJ. I apologize for that, guys. TJ went out, then I went out, and Ray was looking at himself on the camera the whole time. But we're gonna get right into this now, guys. We're back on. We are glad that we're back on now. 2020. You never know what's gonna happen. But we're going to push it along just like everybody else is doing and get right back into what we're talking about with the Dion Sanders news. So if you haven't heard from us the first time, Dion Sanders is now the coach of Jackson State. And I want to know what you guys think about it. Ray, you was talking about it first, so I want to know what you thought before we all cut off.
Again, he good name recognition. A guy who most people know, like me, obviously, even casual football fans know who Dion Sanders is. So I think he'll help them recruit players. But like I said before, it'll all come down to see if he can coach or not. And I mean, the funny thing is, sometimes the better the player is, the more likely it is that they're not that great of a coach. But we'll see.
Yeah. That's a normal case in a lot of professions, not only just college, but NFL as well. Like usually with NFL players that come out to be coaches, don't always pan out. It's usually the backup quarterbacks and coaches honestly, that nobody heard of in the background. They usually become the better player, the better. What was you gonna say, Ray?
I think it's usually the guys that are more of the book guys, the guys that like the nuts and bolts guys, and you're usually not the best players.
Correct.
No,
I agree. What do you think about that, TJ?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. It's not just about him. It's about the system he can build, because you can't coach a program with just one person. You need a whole system worth of coaches and players who believe in your stuff. And I don't doubt that Dion Sanders can put or coach guys up, especially defensive backs. But I don't know. And how committed, Dion, it sounds like Dion's committed to coaching, but is he committed to coaching there long term, or is he gonna launch pad somewhere else? Is he how committed is he to doing this?
For sure. And like you said, it all depends on the coaches that's you're surrounded. And with that being said, there were some rumors going out there about the coaching staff that he had. Some of the names, two notable names that they had in there was T.O. and Warren Sapp on that team. Could you guys imagine him having that kind of staff? How would that? First of all, would it be good coaches? That's always the most important part. But then,
yeah, exactly.
How would that culture be? You got the three all-star guys, the most outlandish, talkative guys out there, all on one team.
I mean, just because they're big names doesn't. Again, we've just talked about this, but doesn't mean they're going to be good coaches. Like T.O. could coach wide receivers, but we're talking about T.O. here, right? I mean, he had problems with media, teammates, coaches all throughout his career, right? And just coaching up these 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids, is he built to be? Would he be built to be a coach? Of course, that was all a rumor, and Dion debunked it yesterday. But that would have been an interesting choice if that actually was the choice. But of course, we have no idea. We just know that Dion is now the head coach.
What do you think, Ray?
I just think that really, if he wants to be taken seriously, he better hire some serious assistants.
I 100% agree. 100% agree. I mean, I can't only imagine the recruiting there probably been crazy. Dion himself, let alone, would have been crazy. Hearing T.O. and Warren Sapp on a coaching staff, I think almost every high school player would want to do that. As kids, obviously, us being older gentlemen, we probably know better, but. I'm pretty sure that would have been a crazy thing to have. But let's move right along. We're going to very briefly talk about the AP poll. Two teams that kind of stood out to me. There wasn't any huge differences in the week, nothing really surprising, except for Miami. I think they were 14 and
12. Yeah, but
12,
yeah,
12.
Pretty much the same.
Yeah, 12, and then Marshall sneaking in at 25. Guys, what do you think about those two? I thought that was really cool to see them go in there. TJ, what you think?
Well, Marshall, I know they snuck in because they beat App State, who's ranked. So that's nice to see them there. And then Miami, of course, that was the only ranked game of the weekend. So you win and you move up. You lose, you move down. And that's what happened. The rest of the poll, it's pretty standard. Most of these teams didn't even play last week. I mean, Oklahoma State played. They dropped 4 spots because they looked terrible against Tulsa, even though Spencer Sanders got hurt. The top 10 looks, about right. Clemson should be at number 1 unless they lose, which I don't think they'll lose all season. Otherwise, it's, it looks about right. There's nothing really egregious except for maybe the one person who voted LSU to be number 1.
Yeah, LSU definitely should be number 1. But that's just me. Ray, what do you think?
Well, I like Miami moving up. I think that, again, we talked about it last week, and actually for a couple of weeks, that I would like it if Miami made a stand and made some noise in this conference, bring some upper end, talent into this conference. And I think the Eric King adds just enough spice to their offense, especially after the horrible season they had at quarterback last year. I mean, now they actually stabilize it with a kid who can make some plays, and their defense is okay. Their defense was okay last year, but their offense was so putrid you'd never notice it, So,
yeah, we're gonna get a little bit into Miami in a little bit, but let's get into some of these opt-outs. We got some more notable opt-outs that came in. Nobody like crazy, but we got Anthony Hines, linebacker, and quarterback Tate Martell. First of all, I want to say this before I even get out there. I don't think Tate Martell is ever going to play for Miami ever again.
I don't know if he'll play anywhere.
Yeah. So, TJ, since you started off, how you feel about those two guys opting out?
Yeah, it stinks for Hines because he lost a family member to So it was a couple of things. He lost a family member to COVID 3 weeks ago. So obviously he's like trying to protect his health, trying to protect his family health, because especially when you see a person close to you pass away from, this horrible disease, like it just makes you rethink things. So that, and he also said he wants to get more involved in the community and such, and, stand up for social injustice. So that's good. And then Tate Martell, got to be one of the biggest flops in college football history. I mean, just hype, and they switched him to wide receiver last year.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't gonna. We're expecting Tate Martell to come in and take the D'Eriq King role last year, and turn Miami from having Malik Rozier and such, just bad offensive line, average receivers, such so underwhelming with this unbelievable defensive talent they have, and he was not even third string.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. It's kind of to get to Darren's point. Thank you, Darren, for being on the chat room today. We do appreciate you being there. I never really used the word bust on a college player, simply because I don't, there's always expectations when you have just stars and things like that. I never put it as a bust. Ray, would you put a college player as a bust? I don't think I ever put him in that category, but
no, because he's not being paid.
Yeah, I
would call him a disappointment for sure. Because like TJ said, he came to 4-star prospect, a lot of hype, and he's just never fulfilled it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You get all those, you get those highlight videos on YouTube and such. You get those stars next to your name. People are they're expecting stuff. There's a reason those recruiting services are a thing, is just to highlight the best high school players in the country and make more excitement for these college programs and the players they're bringing to them. And, well, the excitement never lived out. We never got to see it. He barely who did he lose the quarterback battle to? Was it Justin Fields he lost it to, or was it Dwayne Haskins? Oh, Burrow lost to Haskins. No, I thought I think he probably lost to both of them.
Yeah, because I think it was Haskins that he lost to, and then that's when he transferred.
Him and Burrow transferred out.
Yeah. Okay.
So, that's quite a QB room. But anyways, just like obviously we know what Urban Meyer saw in him when he recruited him there, but my goodness, it has not worked out for him at all.
Correct.
Maybe a move to wide receiver was a good move for him.
Maybe we'll see. I mean, he'll have an extra. And Darren says it was Fields and Haskins.
Yeah, that makes it well. Fields was I mean, Fields also not a bad pick. He was pretty good.
Correct. Yeah, for sure. Well, let's get into our games of the week of last week. So week 3, and I keep trying to say week 2 because this season's all wacky anyway. But week 3, we had a couple of games that went down. We did our picks from last week. What we're gonna start doing now is start recording our games and kind of tell you like who we picked and if it was wrong and things like that. But for this week, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna get into how it is now. We're gonna get right into the first game, which was Georgia State versus Louisiana. Ray, tell me about that game. It was a good game. What you think about that one?
High scoring game, decent game.
Overtime.
Overtime. Louisiana won. The stats look good, but there's nothing that really stands out like overly impressive. Elijah Mitchell had a nice game, 164 yards, 2 touchdowns. Trey Regis had a nice game, scored a touchdown.
He had a lot of attempts, though.
He did. He had a lot of attempts. I mean, again, a high-scoring game, a little bit more. I think Georgia State actually scored more points than I thought they would score. But I mean, that was the only thing I came away. I really didn't get a chance to watch this game, though. Okay. I only saw the highlights of it, so
Sorry, TJ, what do you think about the game, man?
Yeah, I mean, Georgia. I do a little bit of research. I rewatched some highlights, and Georgia State. They blew this game. They had a 2-touchdown lead in the second half, and Louisiana had some, expectations for the first time in quite a while because this is the first time, and I don't know if you guys knew this is the first time they were ranked since World War II, 1943.
Wow.
Yeah. So, expectations were there. Of course, different year, not as many teams in the poll, but still counts.
Yeah.
But they're able to come all the way back, and, Elijah Mitchell, a big part of that, averaging over 10 yards a carry. And their quarterback, Levi Lewis, was also pretty good, 7.5 yards per attempt and a pair of touchdowns as well. So, nice to see a comeback. Not as pretty when when we're going to factor more teams into the poll, and that kind of win would probably drop you in the poll, but that's not the case yet.
Yeah, that was my come away was they probably didn't do themselves any favor in the standings with struggling, especially in the first half. So,
Definitely. All right, we're gonna get into the next team, a team that Ray been looking at for a while. Navy versus Tulane. It was another good game. Actually, I always get confused. Which one do you like, Ray? Was Navy or Army?
I like all the cadet teams, to be honest with you, but I'm an Army guy usually. Okay. Navy has been the better team before this year, the last few years. Yeah. Of course, losing their quarterback this year didn't help them. So
Correct. So I always get confused with those teams, but like it went down to the wire with those two teams as well. 3-point win for the midshipmen's. TJ, what do you think about that game?
Well, it was at least at halftime. It was looking exactly like their first game was looking. They were getting blown out by Tulane. They were shut out at the half. Yeah. And Tulane was driving down. They threw an interception on the 3-yard line to start the second half, and that swung the game back towards Navy's favor. I mean, looked like the live tackling practice worked this week, unlike the lack of thereof before their first game.
Correct.
I mean, basically, Navy run the ball at will, especially in the second half. And Tulane's quarterback, Ken Howard, really, really struggled. Went 10 for 25, or like TJ said, with that bad interception near the goal line, kind of just put the nail in the coffin right there. So
and also, how often does a team that Navy outthrows the other team? They had more passing yards than Tulane did, which never happens.
31 more points. I mean yards, but yeah.
When you're only talking about 139 yards to 108, that's not good football, man. So
no.
Tulane had 25 attempts and Navy only had 11 attempts passing. So Actually,
Well,
no,
again,
12 attempts. I'm sorry, I forgot about
yeah, I
Phillips.
mean, Jamel Crawford for Navy had a nice game. He averaged a little over 5 yards a carry, but had 127 yards. Their fullback only had 22 yards, but had 2 touchdowns. So again, they ran the ball when they wanted to run the ball. So
correct. And to be completely honest, I looked at this game. I seen the score at halftime, like TJ was talking about, and I was like, I am not watching the rest of this game. Navy been getting blown out, but
I believe
I probably should have stayed.
I think I said, believe last week when we were talking about this game, I said, don't sleep on the cadets, right?
Yeah, you did.
I'm pretty sure it is the largest comeback in school history. So a little bit of history.
When you used to run the wishbone offense and for like 50 years, you have a hard time coming back in games. So
yeah, I know. Yep.
Definitely. All right, let's get to our next game. This next game was not even close. It was Troy versus Middle Tennessee. The only reason I put this on here because if I'm not mistaken, I believe I was the only one that had Troy winning. So this is kind of a light flex for me. You guys had Middle Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I
don't remember that pick, to be honest with you.
This is why we're gonna write everything down this week to let you guys know. Run that tape back. No, but I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that said Troy's gonna win this game, if I'm not mistaken. And they blew them out. So that was just a little light.
To give you a round of applause.
Yeah, there you go. Light flex. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, next game we're gonna go to Marshall versus Appalachian State. Another game that I thought Appalachian State would have. I think Appalachian State could have won, but Marshall looked pretty good, and I can see why they're ranked now. What you guys think?
Yeah, it was a really defensive game, and Marshall I know that App State I believe both teams scored. Yeah, they each scored a touchdown on their first drive of the day. But in the second half, which is of course usually in close games where you're going to win your ball games, Marshall was the one that they came away with an explosive 2-play 80-yard drive to score a touchdown, and played good defense. And App State didn't see the end zone after that first quarter.
What do you think, Ray?
I think that Zach Thomas again had a decent game for Appalachian State, but he threw a really bad pick, and I like Marshall. I think they're a good, solid football program. They ran the ball for over 200 yards, so they ran the game. They won the game, so. Yeah,
and actually, also going to point out too, Brandon Knox had a really good game. Shout out to him; he's a really good player. And shout out to Inside the Hatches interviewee Trevon. What's his name? Becker. Sorry. Got player of the week for this week. So congratulations to him. Thank you for being on with us, and we wish you success going forward. He got a shout out from Jim Nagy from the Senior Bowl as well. So shout out to him. Hopefully we get to see him at the Senior Bowl now. I think overall it was a good game. I think it's a game to get Marshall some morale and see how they go with this, and hopefully they don't get kicked out of the AP poll after these teams come back. But I think it's a cool story to see, one of the smaller teams being able to get up there in the rankings too. So, All right, let's get to our next game. This one is a pretty good game. Miami versus Louisville. We talked about Miami earlier. Louisville was a team that was close in ranking with them, and we thought that it could have been close, and it pretty much was close. And I want to know what you guys think about the game.
Good, TJ.
Well, okay. Yeah, man. So I wrote a piece about this for the Inside the Hatches blog.
Coming out soon.
Yeah. Foreshadowing. But man, D'Eriq King looks awesome, man. That looks like a great fit. I mean, if you just watching the game, the tempo looked right. I mean, he was making the right decisions. He was making some unbelievable throws and some things that we hadn't seen from him since, his 2018 season in Houston where he had 50 touchdowns. He didn't use his legs a whole bunch rushing forward, but he was moving around in the pocket. like I said, most impressive thing was his passing in this game. I mean, he was dropping the ball in the bucket. There's this one play, I believe second quarter. I mean, he has a guy he has one of his tackles being pushed into his face, and he throws the ball, drops it over the top of the defense, and his receiver goes out, makes the catch right along the sideline. I mean, it was just a piece of work. And he did a great job of finding Brevin Jordan, one of the top tight ends in the country, who was running open quite a bit during the game. I think he had 170 yards down the seams this game. He had a touchdown, and Miami was making every big play when they needed it. And I was looking forward to watching Derek King versus Malik Cunningham, but King outplayed him. He flat out did, and that's big reason why Miami won.
Yeah, but overall, I think it was a good passing game. I mean, even Cunningham, he had 300 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, things like that. Great. Are you concerned with the defenses though? Because Louisville started coming back on them.
I mean, I'm not concerned with Miami's defense. I think they got a little bit complacent, and let's face it, Cunningham's a good player, so he made plays. Javion Hawkins, a running back, had a really nice game. They're a good team. When we got a good game. So I was pretty happy with how it went. Miami jumped out to a Louisville lead, and then Louisville started to come back. It's kind of what I expected.
Yeah.
Like you said, Derek King really didn't do a lot running the ball, but just the threat of him being out there allowed Cameron Harris to have 134 yards on 9 carries.
Yeah, exactly. And I could just point out this time in the third quarter. So first play for Miami in the third quarter, 75-yard touchdown run for Cameron Harris. Second play of the third quarter, it's a fake quarterback keeper straight up the middle. The entire Louisville defense jumps forward, and King just pops it over the top of them, and wide open, the receiver runs straight into the end zone from 75. Again, 2 plays and 2 touchdowns in that third quarter. And that's really killer. You can't have that.
Jalen Knighton, he only had 1 reception, 75-yard touchdown. TJ was just talking about. Brevin Jordan, 120 yards, a touchdown. He's basically Brevin Jordan is so happy that he has a quarterback to play with right now, and this kid's going to light it up and be maybe a first-round pick next year.
Exactly. He's got to be thrilled.
Yeah,
of course. Any good receiver wants to play with a good quarterback, man. That's just STO.
That's my quarterback. Had to get that in there, right? Huh? All right.
There's offense all over this game. We just covered half of it. I mean, like, the wide receiver had 8 receptions for 114 yards and 2 touchdowns. It was a fun game to watch. I was exciting, and it was for a pretty boring first 2 weeks. It made last week a little bit watchable, really.
Exactly. I was going to say, like, the weekend was a little dry. Yeah. And, it was nice to have the primetime game at least show up, and it was fantastic.
Again, it was the first really, really competitive, good college football game I've seen all year. So
I agree. And with that being said, we're going to just move along to the next week for time purposes. And speaking of dry weeks, Ray just talking about how week 3 was a little dry. We might have literally the best college football week of all season.
1 second, Jerome. You don't want to talk about Notre Dame winning 52-0. Just kidding.
No. Right.
I think USF got half the yards on one carry. I think in the first half.
Yeah. That was insane. But yeah, this might be the best game of the year.
Is this what you're going to use to hype up Ian Book now? His performance against South Florida.
Did you watch the game? Ian Book was the only player on the field that didn't impress me. Okay.
Wow.
Such high praise. Oh my goodness.
Ray, we talked about this.
You should pre-order your jersey already.
You know what? It's a good thing he's very athletic because he actually ran the ball better than he passed it last week. So good for him.
Wow, such a great trait for a quarterback.
A 6-foot guy would eat that fast. Great.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's get into week 4, guys. We're going to give you our week 4 picks. We got a list of games that we're going to talk about for this week. Let's get right into it. So we're gonna start off with UAB versus South Alabama. What you guys got for that one? Let's go with TJ.
So I would so spread 7.5. UAB on the road. I would take UAB. Both teams are going with a new quarterback this week, but UAB defense has played a lot better. They kept it close versus Miami, and they, South Alabama blew a huge lead to Tulane. So I would go with UAB covering a touchdown on the road.
Okay. What about you, Ray?
I'm going to make it easy. UAB is favored by 7. I'll take UAB. Especially if they're just a win. If they're going to cover the line, yeah, they'll cover that line.
Yeah, we're going to go on a straight flush with this one. I do agree as well. UAB is going to take it, and they're going to cover as well. So let's move on to the next game. We got Kentucky versus Auburn. That line, Auburn is favored by 7.5. What do you guys think?
7.5. Man, that adjusted. My goodness.
Yeah, I have 7.5 right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say the one I found from earlier this week was 10. So people loving Bo Nix. However, I'm gonna go the opposite. I'm interested to see how Bo Nix is gonna look this year. But Kentucky won 8 games last year. Auburn won 9. The teams aren't that far apart. And then Kentucky won 8 games with Lynn Bowden at quarterback. I love Lynn Bowden, but he was a wide receiver playing quarterback, and they still won 8 games. And I would take Kentucky plus a 7.5. You said, but yeah, I would take I'd take Kentucky to keep it closer than a touchdown.
Okay. Ray, what do you think, man?
So you're taking Kentucky to win the game, or just
no? Auburn to win by Auburn to win by.
Okay.
I think me and Ray heard the same thing.
I agree that Kentucky may keep it close, but Auburn will win the game by at least, I say, close to a touchdown. I think I have a 10-point line, like you said, TJ. So
yeah, I had the 10-point line. So.
Let's remember who Lynn Bowden plays for now before we criticize him too much. Okay.
Yeah,
all right?
Definitely. Oh yeah, Miami. Anyway,
do they use it?
What's that?
Do they use him at all?
They did last week when he played.
Yeah, he played one. I think he had one snap or something.
He's going to be a fire. He's going to have a nice uniform though, so he'll be okay.
I was going to say the Dolphins game tomorrow will be the first Dolphins game I've watched this year.
Oh man, that's oh yeah, I forgot they're on tomorrow. So we'll see. They get the primetime beat down, right?
Calm down there, Redskins.
Oh, don't be disrespectful. All right, we got beat down. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm sorry. The Washington football team you lost to with no name. God.
It don't feel good right now. It don't feel good.
No, it's not looking good.
Let's move along. Let's move along before I start crying on camera. So I agree. I think Auburn is going to be up there. Honestly, I probably would have gave Auburn a little bit more points. I probably would have given like 13-ish.
Really?
But simply because the defense is like that heart of that defense is all going now. And
Gus Malzahn as a coach is like this. This is how it goes.
I agree with that.
I agree with that too. But you got to remember, Auburn has things that they can compete for an ACC championship, and if they don't win this game, that's not ever going to happen.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is their first test to really
absolutely
show who they are now, because again, like I said, they lost a lot of pieces on that defense. Let's see how they're gonna react now. And then with a young quarterback that was Rocky himself last year, let's see how it is.
He's got to take that step.
Yep. Exactly. So all right.
Let him run the ball more than he throws it. He'll be fine.
So you can say that with
much like Ian Book.
Exactly.
No, actually, he's a little bit more big and physical than Ian Book. If Ian Book were 262, I wouldn't have a problem with him.
Definitely. All right, let's get to our next game. We got number 21 Pitt versus number 24 Louisville. Pitt is favored by 3. Ray, who you got in that game?
You know what? I'm going to take Louisville in that game. Their offense was good last week. I like Pittsburgh a little bit, but their defense, their offense can be dormant at times. I'll take Louisville to cover. I'll take Louisville to win the game.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah, I was thinking along the same lines as Ray. I'm not sure if Louisville is going to win, but, it's supposed to be warm, which obviously warm in Pittsburgh on Saturday, which favors quarterbacks. Line's 2.5. So, and I liked what I saw from Louisville. So I'd take, I don't know if they're going to win, but I'll take the plus 2.5.
Man, we're agreeing too much. I got Louisville as well. I think it will be close. I got Louisville actually winning. I think they are going to win. It's going to be close.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, I think it's going to be close. You get it right. And I think it's going to be about a 3-point difference, to be honest.
I just think that if you watched Pittsburgh at all against Syracuse last week, their defense is good, but their offense is nothing special.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was going to bring up that point too. I mean, Syracuse has looked terrible so far, and they only won by 11 points.
Yeah. Are they going to be able to keep up with the firepower that Louisville's going to bring?
That's the thought process right there. I can see that game being 38-30 because I don't think Louisville's defense is special. So I think Pittsburgh will score. They may even score more points, depending on the one thing that scares me about turnovers. Mm-hmm. Turnovers will decide this game.
Correct.
I think.
Yep.
I think who doesn't turn the ball over will win the game.
I agree. All right, let's get to our next game. We're going to do Georgia Tech versus Syracuse. Where's the line? Where's my line?
I think it's 8.
8. Yep, 8. So Georgia Tech is favored by 8. TJ, who you got in that one?
I just look at my notes on this. At least, Georgia Tech looked good one of the weeks. I'm just going based off. So out of 2 weeks, Georgia Tech has looked good 1 week. Syracuse has looked terrible both weeks. So I'll go Georgia Tech covering.
Okay. All right, Ray.
I think that Georgia Tech will win the game, but I don't like them covering that line. Georgia Tech is another team that I don't believe in their offense from week to week. I just can't.
I agree with Ray. I'm totally on board with Ray. I think it's going to be closer than you think. I think that I actually think that Syracuse has a chance to win this game, to be honest. I don't think they are going to win, but they have a chance. And I think that with you having a chance to win, anything can go. But I still do think that Georgia Tech's going to win. And
there's an over-under in the game, went from like 53 to 49.5, which tells me
they think it's
going to be a low game.
That game screams under.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely.
All right, let's get to our next game. We got Ole Miss versus Florida. I'm trying to find my line. I'm sorry, guys.
14.5. I had it.
14. That one changed a lot before I seen it. I think that was I think it changed a lot. 14 is crazy. Ray, what do you think about that game?
I think that Florida will win the game. I think they could cover that line, but I wouldn't bet on them covering that line.
Yeah. We think
I disagree with Ray. I think Florida will easily cover this line. I mean, we got first year of Lane Kiffin in an offseason where he hasn't gotten to see his team as much as he likes. He's got an exciting quarterback in John Reese Plumlee, but, I mean, people are talking about Florida to the playoff, and if they really are that team, then they should win this game by at least 14 points.
I don't see him being a playoff team.
Lane Kiffin is the most overrated coach in college football.
I have no idea how he's going to work out. He was pretty good at FAU, but
you know what happens when you're a big fish in a small tank? Now he's
you get fired on the tarmac of LA.
Exactly. Unless your dad is the head coach, you lose your job.
Yeah. Well, he keeps getting new jobs, and I'm interested to see how he'll do it.
Good for him. I wish my dad was a good coach too, so I get a job over and over again. Be great.
So in terms of just thinking like quarterback guys, I mentioned John Reese Plumlee, but people love Kyle Trask as like one of the top quarterbacks in the country. I think Kyle Trask is good. I'm not sure he could take another step. But also I have one of the top tight ends in the country in Kyle Pitts and one of the best defenses in the country as well. So if all the hype is warranted, then they will prove me right and win by 2 touchdowns, probably more.
Definitely. All right, let's move along to our next one. We got Liberty versus FIU. TJ, who you got in that one?
Well, FIU hasn't gotten to play yet this year, so and Liberty looked pretty good against Western Kentucky, their game this year. So I'll go Liberty. They're favored by a touchdown.
Right.
I'll go with TJ. I agree with him. I think that I wouldn't be surprised if it was like a little bit closer, not like 5 or 6 points. But if I had to play the game, I would go with the line and say Liberty will cover.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how FIU plays this year. Losing James Morgan, a guy that we got to interview, really good quarterback, plays for the Jets now, and they have a whole bunch of players, Napoleon and Maxwell, a couple of other guys who we also interviewed him as well. Losing a lot of offensive players, that makes me wonder how they're going to play. And like you guys said, they haven't played yet, so very curious to see how they play. I'm not even sure who their starting quarterback is right now. I remember his name. I forgot who it is though. But yeah, I don't know.
The over/under is 60 points, so it looks like they think it's going to be a high-scoring game. So,
really,
which kind of surprised me. Well, like you said, with FIU replacing their quarterback this year, kind of surprised me that high of a line. So,
correct, definitely. Well, we'll definitely see how that goes. But I'm taking Liberty. I think they cover
6.5.
I'm gonna say they cover.
Yeah,
they're home. I'll say they cover.
Again, plus the fact that they've played a game, helps them out. So,
correct. All right, let's get to Iowa State versus TCU. Iowa State coming off a terrible loss. Ray, they are favored by 2.5. What are you giving them, Ray?
You know what? I'm going to go with that to win the game, but I'm not feeling comfortable. I'm not going to lie to you. But they were, favored by 2.5, and they're on the road. So I think it's a field goal game, and if I'll go with them. And if they don't play better than they did last week, man, maybe they could just stay away. So we'll see.
Yeah. TJ,
they're getting their tight end back, Kohler, Iowa State, of course. Purdy, they have the more experienced quarterback. And, people love Matt Campbell, and they're only favored by 3 points. So I count on them to bounce back because people are loving them for, possibly taking the Big 12 this year, and they came out and lost week 1. So if they're trying to go win the Big 12, this is a game they got to win.
I think Brock Purdy will come out and play way, way better, obviously, but they're not winning the conference this year. It's not going to happen.
No, I don't think they're winning the conference either. But people love their dark horses.
Yeah, so
I like Brock Purdy. I like their team. I do. I just don't think that I don't see playmakers on offense. I see a good quarterback and okay players, and I don't see a great defense. I don't see
the next time Oklahoma doesn't win the Big 12. So that's like
that. Well, no, of course, that's true too. Well, obviously, so yeah,
exactly.
They always have some kind of quarterback over there in Oklahoma. So I agree, though. I think that he's gonna have Brody's going to have a better game, and I think that he's going to bounce back. I can't see him having a bad game like he did last week. That was it was him not being accurate, and it was a couple really a few questionable decisions and one really interception that was completely not his fault. So we'll see. So I'm gonna kick that up as first game of the year mishap. I'm just gonna say that. So I do think they're gonna bounce back. Like Ray said, though, I'm very uncomfortable with this team, though. Very uncomfortable. So let's get to the next game. We got Tulane versus Southern Mississippi. Tulane is favored by 3.5. Ray, who you got?
I'll take Tulane to win the game. Again, I'm not feeling great about the line. It's only a 3.5 point line. Mm-hmm. But to me, it's a field goal game. So I have a hard time giving anybody that extra half a point. But I'll go with Tulane to win the game. So.
Okay, TJ.
I'm sure film study for Tulane this week was not fun with after blowing that lead. So I would say to come back and cover.
Okay, so Tulane.
A little bit more motivation.
Gotcha. I'm gonna go with Tulane as well. I think we agreed with everything so far, which is not fun. But yeah, I'm going with Tulane as well. So let's just move right along with that one. We got Mississippi State versus LSU. Now this is let me see what this line was.
This is gonna be a fun game.
16.5. But I want to see how this team looks. Simply because they lost everybody.
I want to see both. We got Mike Leach in the SEC now.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I'm excited. So not only did LSU, I believe they lost 14 starters, they lost 4 offensive linemen, 5 of their top 8 pass catchers, Joe Burrow, and then guys like Grant Delpit, Caleb on Chason, like et cetera, et cetera. And that's not all they lost. They lost Joe Brady, too, their star offensive analyst from last year, who everyone was like, crediting with the revamp of this LSU offense. Like, how is it going to look without him? I mean, we don't know. And now
I believe they lost their defense coach as well, right?
I can't remember because everyone was always I always was focused on Joe Brady. But, yeah I mean, I would imagine when you win a national title, people like poaching. Mm-hmm. But, Mike Leach in the SEC, this is going to be great. I'm excited. He has a potential first-round pick at quarterback in KJ Costello. And then he has one of the best running backs in the SEC in Kylan Hill. So I think 16.5 is a little steep because I think there's going to be a lot of breaking in to do for LSU. So I think this is an easy pick of LSU to win, but Mississippi State to keep it with to keep it within 16.5.
Ray, what do you think?
I agree with what TJ just said. I think Leach being with Mississippi State is going to be exciting to watch, especially once he gets the system in place. Costello is going to love that offense, that air raid offense that they run out there, and he's going to have a lot of fun. But I think it'll take him a year or two to get everything he wants going with the team. And LSU right now is a little bit of a more cohesive unit. I think covering 16.5. If I had to bet one way, I'd say they'd probably cover it. But I expect this to be a kind of a high score and probably fun game to watch, at least for a half or so. Is Jamar Chase still out?
He opted out. I believe he's.
Yeah, I know he did, but I was just wondering. I was just wondering maybe they consider coming back.
No, because he's
going to be a top 5 pick regardless.
He opted out when he already knew the team was going to play. So
yeah,
okay.
He is slam dunk top 10 no matter what.
Oh yeah.
So he's no reason for him to play.
Completely agree. Me and Ray were talking about this in the offseason. I think he was the better wide receiver in that offense last year as well.
Than Jefferson?
Yes.
Yeah, well, he won the Blitnikoff, so yes. Yeah. I would. All the voters would agree with you too.
yeah, you're right. No, you're right. So, I thought he was really good. No, I did have some people telling me that he wasn't the best wide receiver, but I think he was.
I don't know what they were watching, but
when you're talking to Justin Jefferson's relatives or something, dude, or
probably. All right. So, for time restraints, we're gonna skip over a couple of these ones. I'm gonna just go over like 2 or 3 more. So let's get into the West Virginia versus Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is favored by 7. Ray, what do you think about that game?
I think that, you know what, if I had to take the team to cover the line, I would take West Virginia to cover that line, dude. I'm probably going to lean towards Oklahoma State, even though they played like crap last week. I would probably lean towards them to win the game, but not by that line.
Isn't it Oklahoma State who's favored by a touchdown?
Yes.
They are.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
They're home as well.
Yeah. I don't know. Is Sanders playing this week? I was trying to look. I couldn't. Mike Leach. Mike Gundy wasn't really giving any answers.
Yeah.
I don't know. They said they were taking his boot off today, so I have no idea. I'm going to assume he's not playing because he left the game last week, didn't come back, and they looked terrible without him. I mean, they could not move the ball to save their lives last week. Chuba Hubbard didn't even crack 100 yards, against Tulsa. So I don't know. Are they going to redesign the game plan to give him, to design it more around him and not as a mix of him and Sanders this week? I have no idea. So, I mean, I would probably, if he doesn't play, I would probably do Oklahoma State to win, but West Virginia +7.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I think that they won't cover that line, but they'll probably win the game. And this is what goes back to, remember earlier this year, Jerome, we were talking about should Chuba Hubbard have come out last year? Chuba Hubbard should have come out last year. Okay, he keeps playing the way he played last week. Well, it's not all his fault. Their offensive line is not good.
Yeah,
but this is a one-cut runner. If he can't get out into the open spaces, he's not. His contact balance is not great. His vision doesn't always seem like it's there. He would be an early second-round pick last year at worst. Now they're talking about him being a a third-day pick now, right now.
Do you guys remember what happened to Bryce Love?
Yeah, exactly. They're different players. Bryce Love was a little more of a system guy, where I think Chuba Hubbard can play, and he'll play in the NFL as a two-down running back, though, not a bell cow kid. He's not.
Well, I thought Bryce Love was going top 2 rounds if he would have came out after that. His best year.
Absolutely.
But he stayed, and that killed him.
Absolutely. After that 2,000-yard season, if he'd have come out that year, he'd have been easily a second-round pick. Easily.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
Cost himself a ton of money by going back. I mean, we talk about, me and John talk about this all the time. If you're a running back, man, you had that big year, come out, make your money.
Yeah, because running backs, you get like one contract and you're done.
If you're lucky, you get one big contract after your initial rookie contract. You're almost better off being drafted later than being a first-round pick, because then you're tied up for 5 years, and then teams are not going to give you that first contract. If I was a running back and somebody I'd be like, yo, dude, do yourself a favor, be as good as you can be. Hopefully we'll get drafted in the second round. We'll get that rookie contract. You go in there and prove that you're a player for 2 years. Then we'll renegotiate and try to get you that first contract right away. If you don't look at it like that, you have to. If you're a running back, you have to look at the NFL as a business, period.
Mm-hmm. Yep, definitely. 100%.
I agree. All right, let's get to our last 2 games. We're going to go with Virginia Tech versus NC State. Virginia Tech is favored by 6.5. I'm going to go with Ray. What do you think about this one, Ray?
I'll take Virginia Tech to win and cover that line. I think they're still a pretty solid team.
All right, TJ.
Yeah, they're a good team, and NC State got shredded last week by Wake Forest. So I would say only a touchdown they have to cover. I would say they cover that.
I agree. All right, last game, the game of the day. It will be Florida State versus Miami. Miami is flying up the AP poll. Everybody got their eyes on them. They are favored by 11 points. Do you see an upset with this one? I know Ray thought that Florida State would be a lot better this year. I personally didn't, but you never know. They might bounce back and do a little upset. Ray, what do you think about this game?
I think that I said I was hoping Florida State would be good, but I don't think they are.
I'm not saying you thought it was going to be good. I think you said it was going to be better than last year. I think
Miami will win and they'll cover that line, probably more closer to 2 touchdowns, to be honest with you.
TJ?
I think this is such a tricky game to pick. I think Miami's going to win, of course, because Florida State is Florida State, and Mike Norvell won't even be coaching in this game. So, I don't even know how Florida State's going to look. But it's honestly like Florida State has their moments where they look like they should. Some of the best athletes in the country on the field, like James Blackman's actually getting protected, and he actually is making his throws. And then you go a quarter later, and they just look like an utter disaster. And I think De'Aaron King's going to look really good again because he's a great player. Obviously, Florida State has better athletes on defense than Louisville does, which might make it a little harder on him. But I think I wrote down I think Miami's going to cover in this game, but it's a tricky game.
I 100% agree with that statement. I think this might be one of those, either it's going to be an upset by very close or it's going to be a blow up by Miami. It's going to be, they're going to either cover or they're going to be very close, lose by like a field goal kind of thing. And simply because how Florida State is, they're so up and down. You never know with them. They're going to be really good at one point and then be really bad at one point, or they're going to have a good game or they're going to have a bad game, a complete bad game. Like Florida State is just all over the place to me. So I agree with TJ.
It's going to be if Florida State loses again to Miami. I believe they've lost 3 straight to Miami. They lose again to Miami. It's
yeah.
like I know Mike Norvell is like he's only in his first year, but man, I mean,
it's gonna look bad.
Yeah, like he can't even get to coach in this game either. It's just how it goes. That's how it goes in Tallahassee these days.
It's a shame on the night where we were talking a lot about Dion Sanders that he's going to be embarrassed by this game.
Yeah, definitely. So, that's going to do it for us today, guys. We do appreciate each one of you guys coming in here and listening and holding it down when we had technical difficulties. So we do appreciate y'all being in here. Please make sure you check out us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast, listen to that. You have a whole bunch of player interviews on there, podcasts and things like that. Please check that out because I do support the podcast. So please check it out. You don't have to pay for nothing. You don't have to subscribe. All you have to do is just basically literally just listen. So please go in there, check that out find us at Inside the Hatches on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Also follow us on InsideThisHatches.com, all our social media, Inside the Hatches on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And please make sure that you check out our Discord. We have a new Discord channel now where you can get all the information, all the breaking news, talk with our team, have fun in there. You'll get all the notifications every time we post something and when things go down and anything that we post. So please, the link is right down at the bottom. Please make sure you go check that out at discord.com. So guys, thank y'all so much for having us today. Again, thank you for holding it down when we had technical difficulties, but we do appreciate each one of you guys. I'm Jerome Jones. We got Ray Roberts in the building, TJ Matthewson. Thank you guys so much for being down with us, and we see you next week. Peace.